All right then. Welcome back, everyone. And take a deep breath and go into your superpower state. So however you normally do that, using your word or phrase or your anchor, or focusing on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. Very good. Start to feel your heart opening, your chest expanding, as that light shines out from you. Very good. Now allowing that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good. And now allowing that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each little cell just for existing, no matter what. Very, very good. Now allow that light or energy to fill the little you, yourself as a child, any age. Loving that child just for existing, no matter what. Very good. And allow that light or energy to overflow from that little you and fill your whole childhood. Everything, everyone, every experience, every circumstance, and every event, shining this light into any darkness, feeling that power as you do that. That little you's superpower. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill everyone who's on the call today. All those who are on camera, all those who are off camera today. Love each one just for existing. Very good. All right, you can open your eyes. And let's check in with each person, see how you're doing. So, Sue, oh yes, Steve's just pointed, no, Swasti's just pointed out it's session 111 today. So that's good. All right, so thank you, Swasti. So Sue, how are you today?
Well, it was fun until I started talking to Steve, and then I got super triggered. Wow. I was fine, but then I also was aware that I was...
I'm glad I could be of help there, Sue.
It's not you, it's me. Because it just opened up this, I suppose, this pot that I've had sealed for a long time. Well, another aspect of that.
Sue, do you mind if I just jump in and ask you, just for the recording in general, how is it that we jumped into that trigger? Or I guess I just want to point out that we just spent a few minutes working on the allowing technique, which allowed you to find some stuff that was there. Yeah,
it was all about guilt. And then the guilt then led to this feeling compared in my childhood to other people all the time. I mean, not just what the example I used with Steve, but with other people too. And this sense of undeservedness.
Yes.
And because I feel guilty because I want to redo the ceiling that my husband put up. Which was not really how I wanted it done, and it's not working. And so my sons have said that they're going to come and help me do it. And I'm just racked with guilt that I think I should keep it just because I don't want to hurt him or upset him. upset
Very
him.
good. That's a great one because that is very, very common. How
Yeah.
many of us put up with things that we don't really want because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or we don't want someone to be upset or angry? So that's an excellent one. So thank you for bringing that up, Sue. And I know Steve was doing some work with you before we started this session, and I'm not sure, where that was, but what I'd like to ask, for the sake of others who are following along as well, is what is wrong with, so in addition to whatever Steve did,
Yes.
what are you worried about? What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst that can happen? So if you have this redone, what's wrong? What bad things will happen?
Well, that he'll be even, when I told him I wanted to redo it, he said, I don't want to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, that's okay, because Max and Leon will come and help. And I think that if I just redo it, because it's when he's away, it's in a couple of weeks' time. And I just think when he comes back, he'll just be, like even more, how can I put it, like anti-me.
So he's anti-you?
I get the sense, yeah. I'm feeling very, very triggered.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is the anti-you? Is that like the antithesis, like your nemesis? I have a vision of a Sue or a Euse, Sue backwards in a cape, and like that's the complete opposite of you.
No, and when I say anti-me, anything that you're just trying to amuse me.
What's funny is usually when I do something like that, there are people laughing or smiling or something, and there was nothing from it.
Nothing. Sorry. Well, that's got me out of it.
It made no sense at all. All right. So yes. So how do you know that let's
he challenges everything I say, and it has to be done. Everything has to be done his way, and if it's not, then he gets like confrontational almost.
Okay. And what's wrong with that? What does that mean to you? Is what I'm trying to get to. What does it mean?
It just means for me. It just means that it's just like pulling us further and further and further apart. And yeah.
Okay. So because here's the truth, everything that comes out of a person's mouth is about themselves.
Yeah.
So whatever he does, his anti-you and whatever else he does, the challenging and all of that is nothing to do with you. It's about his stuff, right?
Yeah.
So whatever he's presenting those are coping skills that he developed from his childhood, has nothing to do with you. Now, you may hit the ball back to him, and you may be hitting the ball to each other. You may be dancing together by, feeding each other's programs, but whatever's coming from him is coming from his references, nothing to do with you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's just for the logic, for the conscious mind, that that's the truth. But of course, what's happening is your programs are being triggered from your childhood.
Yeah.
Again, nothing to do with him. So, yeah. So that feeling that someone is against you, anti-you, whatever's there, and I know this is the part that you did with Steve earlier, that's of course coming from your childhood, has nothing to do with your husband or the roof, the ceiling, or having it redone. Any of that. Yeah. Right? So you want to do whatever Steve suggested. And then in addition to that, just on a practical level, how about if you had a surprise waiting for your husband when he got back? What little thing could you do that would make him feel better, or that would be a surprise where he'd go, oh, that's nice?
When he comes back from his trip.
After you've done the ceiling.
Yeah. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a big thing, doesn't have to be a big gesture, but something, and you don't have to wait till he gets back. I would say you could start, see how you feel though, because don't force yourself to do it, but see if you can get into the excitement and enjoyment of it of little things. So when you wake up in the morning, what one thing can I do today? Here's something for everyone, actually. So number one, what one little thing can I do today that would make for myself, that will be nice for me? And number two, what one little thing can I do today for someone else? And you pick the person. For you, I would say, what one little thing can I do today for him, for my husband? It can be making a cup of tea. It can be a note in his shoe saying, I appreciate you. It can, now, what you want to do with this as well, when you're dealing with someone, well, and with yourself, whoever you're dealing with, is you want to do these gestures to the person you wish they were. So in other words, if your husband was the way you wish he would be, what would you do? How would you speak to him? What little messages would you leave for him? So something like, I appreciate you, or, you know, you're the bomb, or whatever. And then, of course, the same for yourself. What would you do for yourself if you were the way you wish you would be? So you're setting a destination rather than playing in the current scenery.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Very good. That's for everyone. And that, of course, is in addition to addressing those childhood memories, changing them, making them the opposite, positive, empowering, because that's where you learned that whatever this you're experiencing right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think that just like, that's the sort of like the cloud, the dark cloud that hangs over my being or my life or whatever, that holds me back in so many.
Yes.
Wow, that is a huge thing.
Including moving forward with your photography and all.
Oh, sure, absolutely. You know, it's that whole imposter syndrome thing.
Yes.
Who do I think I am?
Perfect. Okay, so I think Steve probably gave you, so you have what you need to do to change that, right?
Well, I know how to change it. Change memories.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know where exactly. I mean, I've got some memories. I suppose maybe that's a good place to start, is just on the memories that I have, and to change those. And then, you know, if anything else comes up, then
right.
Wow, this is lots.
I think I'm going to jump in here, Sue, in thinking what we talked about yesterday, presenting that metaphor of you are stepping into the role of being the writer, the director, the producer, and the main character of the movie, right? So even if you can't find all those memories, doesn't matter. Yeah. It's about changing the entire backstory.
Yeah.
So if there's a memory there that has emotional charge and it seems to be a sticking point, then change that. If not, just change the whole backstory. How empowering is it that you're holding on to this gray cloud? It's not. So get rid of that. Yeah. So think about, so from the metaphor of being the producer of the movie, think about the feeling that you want the audience members to be leaving the theater with. You know, you want them to be whistling that theme song in their mind, and it was like, wow, that's an awesome movie. I want to recommend that to my friends. I want to go back and see it again. Whatever it is that you're trying to put into your life. All those
I think it was something Odille said yesterday too, is what is with acting, like the person, when somebody said like, I need to know why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right. Your motivation.
Yeah. What is the motive? And that is that. And
this is method acting. So what you're doing is you want to embody that feeling. So your role now as the actress in this show is to embody that feeling of the empowered little girl living in that family that always empowered her. Yeah. And, you know, those feelings of acceptance and, you know, empowerment, just, it seems to be a word here that would really, you know, be a motivation for that little you.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right.
Excellent. Well done, Sue. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
And Lisa, you're next up on my screen.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Wave your wands Wednesday.
Yay.
Okay, so I was listening to that. It was really brilliant because you can also say, what can I wrote down here, I wrote notes. What can I do to love myself and everyone else throughout the day? You know, and say, ask those questions. What can I do to, you know, embody that too? Because you can get in that state asking those questions to yourself because it creates a non-resistance. And so I was going to read from this page, your book, I'm sorry, 59. I'm showing you pages. Okay, so using unconditional love helps to release resistance and doubt, which in turn allows the circumstances and people into your experience that will lead you to your desire. One of the most significant oh my God, significant effects of your superpower is dissolving resistance. I really love that. Yeah, so look how much I love myself.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, that thing of dissolving doubt, one of the things, so different people have different issues now, obviously, in different programs, but the thing with doubt is when we want to achieve something, doubt can hold us back in a few different ways. And one of the ways is it can feel like instinct. And so then we doubt something, we don't do something, we don't take the action, we don't move forward. And we're thinking, oh, well, you know, because my instinct tells me or whatever. And I've often said, you can only really trust your instinct when you've changed those programs, because your instinct is based on the existing subconscious programming. So that is a great point there, where you know, spending time when you're able to live from the state of unconditional love, and you've changed your childhood, the subconscious references to match where you want to go, then you can trust your instinct. And then if you doubt something, you know it's strategic rather than old programs trying to keep you, that resistance that you mentioned there. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Lisa. And did you have any questions as well, or was that it?
I'm good. I'm very happy.
Yay.
It's just such a blessing to be here with you all.
And it's a blessing to have you with us.
Thank you.
All right. And then Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. So my sister went to school today. Like, she started secondary school. And I just felt like everybody knows where they're going and everybody's like moving on with their lives, but I don't seem to know where I'm going. Yeah.
Okay, so where would you like to be going?
Uni.
Mm-hmm. So if you can't go to uni just yet, where would you like to go instead in the meantime, on the way to uni?
On the way to uni.
So for example, let's say you leave from where you are and you're going to go to London. Okay. All right. But London, the traffic in London is appalling right now. So rush hour is not the time to go to London. So on the way to London, while you're waiting for the traffic to die down, where would you like to go on the way? That would be fun.
Like on holiday away.
Okay. So this is a similar kind of thing. So you know you want to go to university, and you know you're going to go. It's just that you're going off on a detour because the road is closed at the moment. So what would you like to do? Because it's not about everyone knows where they're going, so you're waiting to know where you're going. You decide where you want to go, right? So you go, well, so one of the things you could do is come up with the different options. You could list them. You could say, okay, so I could do this, I could do that. These are the things I could do during this gap year. And don't worry about how yet. So don't worry about the hows or the who's or the, you know, the cost or anything like that. Just put down some ideas that you would like to achieve or do or experience during this gap year, and then look at each one and try them on. Say, right, so I'm going to pretend that I've made this decision. I'm going to do that. How does that feel? And do that until you get excited about something. And then once you've got that, you can make a list of everything you would need in order to do that thing, including approval from your parents or whatever, agreement, that kind of thing. But do the other work first, so you know this is the thing I want to do. So if I could wave a magic wand, this is what I would want to do, and then these are the things I need in order to get there. And then you can address those things, those ideas, whatever. And there are ways in which you can, there are ways to get what you want or do what you want that you won't be able to see yet, very likely. So, then you use the techniques to get to that point where you go, yeah, you come up with those ideas. How does that sound?
Yeah, because there are certain things that need to be done by March, and then from there on I'm basically free. I can do anything until September, until uni starts, or October.
Great. And so those things that need to be done by March, do you have a plan for them? Timing and a plan?
Yeah, it's just the admission tests and then interviews. Because interviews they don't come in a set block. It depends on the uni. Like some of them have it in November, some of them have it in February. So
Fantastic.
that's the time frame. Yeah.
Great. So get that plan solidified first, because that's your priority, of course. You get that settled, and whatever you need to do in preparation for it or anything, put it in your calendar so that you've got very definite, this is what I'm going to do this by this date, and this, then break down the steps as to how to get to that. And I would say create a daily routine if you don't have one yet. A morning routine, perhaps when you wake up, that sets you up for the day. So in addition to the work we do here, so the superpower and all that, but perhaps have a list of YouTube videos that you want to watch that are preparing you for the interviews, or that interest you in the subject that you're going to be studying, so medical school tips or whatever, I don't know, that there's bound to, YouTube's full of stuff. So, and create a watch list of those things. And then say to yourself, I'm going to watch one motivating or inspiring or educational video per day.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
Yeah, so is this like at the beginning of the day? So.
Yes, do it when it feels right, but it feels good for you. But doing it at the beginning of the day kind of sets you up, gets your mind moving in the right direction, produces the right chemicals and all of that. And then you can, and it also gives you some structure. So that feeling of waking up like, I don't know what, everybody knows what they're doing and I don't know what to do. Now you've got at least one thing that you're going to do. Okay. Yeah. Got an appointment with yourself, and you can put it in your diary, in your calendar.
Yeah.
Every day I'm going to do this. So you've got somewhere to start for the day. Does that sound? How does that?
Like it's not that I wake up every day and don't know what I'm doing. Like I have the IQ test to prepare for, and then I have a couple of like volunteering things that I have.
Great.
I need to do and then reflect on. So I need to finish my personal statement off. Like there's a lot going on. It's just that feeling of being left.
So Swasti, I know that you already know this. I'm just going to throw it out for everybody else listening, but start with that feeling first. Mm-hmm. Everything that Odille just said, yes, but just be aware of that feeling that's there and start by allowing that. Just allow the feeling, allow that feeling of being left behind, and allow it to have voice as well, because it's also going to give you some ideas about where that is coming from in childhood, because we know that that feeling is being there because there's some earlier reference. And we know your story well enough to know what that might be linked to, right? Yeah. That feeling of being left behind. So allow that to be there, because there's probably some other references there that need to be transformed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good job. Does that help?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's just the parents leaving me. So if nothing comes up, it probably will once I do it. Should I just create new ones of?
Absolutely, yes. So do the allowing first, because as you do the allowing, you may find more references come up that you haven't thought of before, that you've forgotten. And then yes, create brand new ones. And again, as you create the brand new ones, you may find some pop up that contradict it, that you hadn't come across before.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, thank you.
Very welcome, sweetheart. Good job. All right, and then Chris. Hi, Chris. Hey, how are you today?
Oh, very good. And can you hear me? I only have one earbud.
We can hear you.
That makes a difference. So, well, I do love my life so much. What I have done for myself today is after this session, I'm going off for a body massage.
Uh-huh.
And I've had a glass of champagne for lunch.
Good.
It's tea time here nearly. Now, I'm only sharing that within the context of I've had no alcohol for 2 days. So what I did after this great last week, which was like going to a gym and feel my targeting fitness is strong. Then I worked with Steve further on the allowing this sense of being a rebel, which came out of something that Tina had been talking about on the last week's meeting. Yeah. So what I did is this morning particularly, I wrote a due justice letter, not from me, but from my sister to my parents. Wow. That's another little trick, isn't it? Oh, that's so good.
Fantastic. Great idea, Chris. I love that.
Well, it was Steve's idea, but anyway, I love it. It worked. But the point is, so by allowing this this sense of being a rebel, which, well, yeah, I mean, I know where it's come from, but it hasn't been in my life for so long. It's on the other side of being a rebel is empowerment. For me, is empowerment, which is exactly where I want to be and how I want to be and how I feel. So much valuable, is coming out. So much of value is coming out in these few days. It's like it's pinging everywhere for me in my life. And I hope that's something that everyone is gets the sort of sense that keep at it, because it actually, I think it will work. It'll work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. That's very inspiring and encouraging for others.
Hope so.
And well
you
done.
don't have to have a glass of champagne. I mean, water is wonderful too, but just how things can just slot in when you're not. We've spoken about when you're in the right place, things slot in a way you're not expecting it. Without there's no expectation. It just comes. I was almost. This day was not going to be like this. I planned it very differently, and so. But in that moment, there was a synchronicity. It's that synchronicity that just works.
Yes.
Yeah. So
fantastic. And well, is that the synchronicity is allowed to work when we're not fighting against something, when we're not struggling with something or wrestling with something. When we relax and do that allowing and change those references and allow that in, then the synchronicities are allowed, because normally we're, pushing them away with all our floundering. So, well done, Chris. I can't tell you how excited I am and how proud I am of you.
I'm excited too. And one last little thing just before, because I missed yesterday, I've been catching up on yesterday's meeting, and I was just at the point where Katrina was still working with her mother's stories and finding it so hard, which I really understand. And you gave a little challenge, and you just said, go over to the new memory page. So I've put a little memory for Katrina with horses. I'm sure the horse references are all wrong, but I just did it quickly before coming here now.
That's lovely. Thank
I'm sure lots of others will do add lots of good memories there. I've got a few others coming.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. Thank you very
I hope
much.
it helps, Katrina. Thanks, Katrina.
Katrina's actually on camera now, so we'll
Lovely. Oh,
now as well. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And Katrina, yay! I don't know if you heard what Chris just said about the new memory group there.
Yes, fantastic. I did look at her memories from childhood, and they were all excellent. I give a wee comment on both things. Fantastic, yeah. So I want to read out what I have for Odille. So my new memory of mum relating to Odille. So Odille reminds me of my mum as she, am I saying this right? She was always, that means my mother was like you, she was always loving, caring, happy and full of fun. And most importantly, she made me feel really special. As she always gave 100% of herself to me. Wow, look how much I was loved.
Yes.
By you and my mum.
Fantastic. I love that, Katrina, and I'm very honored to be like your mum. That is fantastic. Good job, hey?
Another wee bit I wrote was, now, if I think of Odille, I now think of mum. And if I think of mum, I think of Odille. Win-win for me.
And for me.
Oh, thank you.
Katrina, well done. I can't tell you how proud I am of you and how I feel like my heart is going to burst. So good, so good. Well done, sweetheart. I'm really excited for you as well, because that's going to make a huge difference to a lot of areas of your life, because it's a foundation thing. Yay for you. Good job. All right. Is that it? Oh, very good. So thank you so much for sharing that, Katrina. I really appreciate it. I have to point out, has anyone else noticed the light in the background? It's been doing that for a while, and then it went off completely for quite a while until I started speaking with Katrina, and now it's doing that again. So it's just an interesting little thing. All right. So Steve, any questions?
Yes, please look in there's a question that just came in.
How would you recommend talking to a partner about expecting a good day, positive outcome for a situation? My husband is of the opinion, of the option of expecting the worst and then getting surprised when it turns out good. I am of the opposite. How do I explain that expecting the positive is the better option? Thanks. Oh, yes. So this is an excellent one. And I'll tell you why I'm particularly happy to answer this is because I used to be like your husband and now I'm like you. So I can see through the eyes, and this is a very common thing where people expecting the worst is a protection mechanism. It's most of the time, and it was for me, and I know for a lot of people, it's I used to think if I'm expecting the worst, then either I'll be prepared if that happens, or I'll be pleasantly surprised if it doesn't. But I'm ready. I'm ready for the worst so that I can, protect myself and manage disappointment or avoid disappointment, that kind of thing. So usually that's what it is. So your husband may have that attitude. You can see that kind of approach or attitude to life as armor. So he's got his armor on and he's prepared for in case there's a battle. So you, of course, are going, but if you arrive in armor, then you're inviting a fight, which is also valid. So what my advice would be is to not try and change him, because trying to explain it to him or trying to change him is not going to change that defense mechanism, that protection. So that would be like trying to explain to a guard dog that there's no burglar. You can't, because the guard dog is trained to go for, to attack. And so explaining to it is not going to change it. The guard dog would need to be retrained. Now, if your husband is doing this kind of work, then that's great, because then he can go back and find the references and change them and all that, like we're all doing. If he's not doing that kind of work, the very best you can do is hold your own state, which means you get into that state of superpower. You maintain that outlook of it's going to be the best case scenario, but without needing anything from outside of you, including him. So let's say, so I'm just trying to, my mum at one stage was like that. She used to be a very positive person, and then she went through a very rough life. And so there was, depending on her mood, sometimes she would be negative like that. So she'd go along and, would expecting the worst in preparation, to be prepared. And I would hold my state of inside me without needing to convey it to her, to have her agree or change her mind or anything. So she would be going, oh, and I'd just be going, yeah, like I understand. So I don't need to convince her. I understand her situation, but I'm holding my state. And the more you do that, the stronger you get. And eventually it can rub off on the other person. At the very least, they won't feel the need to polarize. Because what happens is, when we're very positive, someone's very negative, and we go very positive and we're trying to engage them, trying to change them, they put up those defenses even stronger out of subconscious fear. Out of a subconscious, we're going to die, because if you break through this armor, if you take my armor off, I'm going to die. So I need to make it stronger and get extra shields. So the more you relax and hold your own state and allow, again, so there's the allowing, allow him to be the way he is without needing him to change, the more he will relax, and his guard can then come down if that's what he chooses to do, because there isn't that threat anymore. So I hope that helps. If you have trouble doing that, like if you feel it's not easy or not possible to allow him to be the way he is, and you need you need him to cooperate or to be on the same page, then of course look at the references that you have for that. So what you're aiming for is that you don't need anyone or anything outside of yourself, because you have it all inside you. So I hope that helps, but if not, let me know if you have any questions or you still need more help with that. All right, and anything else?
Yeah, a follow-up question there from Sue, if you want to take that one.
I have always expected the best, and most of the time it has not panned out the way I expected. So now I seem to have little expectation. I guess that the calls for having all my expectations fulfilled to even better than I expected. I guess that calls for having all my expectations fulfilled to even better than what I expected. Would that be the way to go? So very good. Thank you, Sue, for bringing that up. And that is, I think, how most of us learn to expect the negative, is because, certainly for me, I would get excited about stuff and then it wouldn't happen. And I'd expect the best and it wouldn't happen. And that was one of my biggest issues with the whole law of attraction thing, because I did believe, I did the visualization, I did everything, and I expected it to work, and then I wouldn't get the results. So that's how most of us get those, develop that defense system. So what I would suggest, Sue, is that you find the earliest. So first of all, allow it. Do the allowing exercise again. We are so over the moon about this allowing exercise. It really is the first port of call for everything now. So that allowing of, I expect the best and it doesn't pan out. How does that feel? So is there disappointment? Is there, what's there when you think of, or when you remember all the times where you've expected it and it hasn't panned out? Notice that and allow it to be there. Focus on the sensation of it. Don't give it any meaning. Don't allow your mind to start looking for reasons and assigning meaning to it. Just allow it as a sensation. And then once you've done that, then check your childhood for where you learned that pattern. It could be the first time that, it could be a moment in your childhood, not necessarily the first time, but a moment in your childhood where you were expecting something and it didn't turn out the way you wanted it. And that can range. It's going to be different for different people, but it could range from, a gift you're expecting to, I was expecting to have friends at school and they didn't, or my parents got divorced, we moved, somebody died. There is just so many options for that. So the way to find it is to really home in on the feeling. This is the feeling. And where in my childhood did I experience the same feeling? And it may not be the same topic. So very, very important that, and then of course change to the opposite, positive, empowering. And what you're looking for, the end result you're looking for, is that you don't need anything to pan out. You are strong and happy and healthy, and everything is inside you. And this is the truth. We feel, the way we feel is inside us, and it doesn't matter what's happening around us, except that we give meaning to it. So I can sit here and feel, okay, so as you know, as most of you know, my brother passed away, I don't know, 2.5 weeks ago or something. And so I could feel bad about that, or I could feel good anyway, despite it. And what makes the difference is not the outside. It's not the fact that he died or how it happened or what led up to it or anything to do with that. What makes the decision, what makes the difference is how my chemicals inside me. And what determines those is, number one, the references that I have, and number two, where I'm putting my focus, what I'm thinking about. So when I'm looking forward to something, and this, I used to have this quite a lot, and until not long ago, where I would get excited about something and I'd be waiting for it to happen, and then it didn't happen. So expectations. So what I discovered is you can get excited about, Steve and I were having this conversation actually, you can get excited about something without being attached to it. And it's that attachment that makes the difference. So, for example, you can appreciate a beautiful sunset, but if that same sunset doesn't come tomorrow, or the sunset doesn't last very long, you don't, it's not a terrible thing. It's just like, that was nice. Anyway, moving on. So it's about not being attached to the outcome. And the attachment comes from the references we give, the meaning we give to it, sorry. So auditioned for Game of Thrones, and I really wanted to do it. I was excited about it, but I deliberately detached from it and used the superpower that if it happened, great. If it didn't happen, love that outcome anyway, love it all anyway, no matter what. So although I was expecting, I had my eye on what I wanted, I wasn't attached to it. I was thinking, it'd be really nice if I did it, but it's okay if I don't. It's not the end of the world. And so when I didn't get it, I wasn't disappointed. I was still in that state of unconditional love because I wasn't attached to it. And now I'm really glad I didn't get it, because I would never have met Steve. So and I love my life so much more now than I would have as an actress. So does that help, Sue? Good. Okay. All right then. So are we ready to talk? So then how did you get the law of attraction to work for you ultimately? Good question, Carrie. Thank you for that. So I'll tell you how I did it, and this is what I teach, is I picked a touchstone. I let go of the details, and that's really important. So a lot of the law of attraction teaching says, you know, think about the details. And I know Neville Goddard does as well. Imagine all the details and everything. Now, in my experience, and from what I know, the reason for the details is only to bring up the emotions. You don't need the details. If you've got the feeling of it, that's all you need. And the fastest, easiest, most effective way I found to do that is to pick one moment in time that you will experience if you get what you want. So the reason we want things, the reason we're trying to create things from using the law of attraction, or attract things using the law of attraction, is because of how we think we'll feel. And that's very often not conscious. So I want to win the lottery, or I want to get into I want to be in a relationship, or I want to be, you know, a successful author, or play the stock exchange, or whatever, invest in the stock exchange. Not play the stock. Well, yes, I suppose you can say that. Whatever it is, the reason behind it is because of how we think that will make us feel. So if I win the lottery, then I'll feel I can pay off all my debt, and that will feel safe. Or I can buy a house, and then that will feel safe. Or I can do what I love for a living, or you know, do what I love as a hobby, or whatever. So it's how we think we'll feel. It's not the thing that we want, it's the feeling that is the end destination. And that is crucial to creating. So for me, I knew I wanted to be happy, and I wanted that feeling of freedom and joy and love and appreciation. And I wanted to just love my life, regardless of what that meant. Now, back then, I thought that would mean living in Hollywood and living in LA and being a professional film actress. That was what I thought would bring me the feelings I wanted. But I let go of those details, and I just honed in on, I love my life. That's all. I love my life, but with the feeling. So I imagined, I didn't have any details, but I just imagined that feeling of I love my life. And that song by Robbie Williams that I sent to all of you, I Love My Life, that helped. I used to play that over and over and sing it over and over. I actually even added it into my my singing sets that I was doing, the singing gigs I was doing at the time. I put it in there so that it was with me all the time, that feeling of I love my life, I love my life. And then I just followed what felt good, obviously continuing to change the references, that any references that are contradicted it, and of course the superpower. So loving everything and everyone, no matter what, no matter how it turns out. And there were many times along the way that it looked like I was going to go backwards, or things were failing, or I wasn't ever going to get out of where I was. And I loved it all anyway. And I changed those references, and I kept my, there's the light again, kept my focus on that, you know, touchstone. I love my life. So, Carrie, hope that helps. Does that answer your question? And obviously, if there's any other clarification needed, let me know. And great, good job. All right. You're very welcome, Swasti. Good job. All right. So shall we do the targeting, Steve? If you'll send me the targets. And so take a deep breath, everyone. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. And using your word or phrase or your anchor, however you get into your superpower state. And then allow your heart to expand. Notice that expansion feeling in your chest, that opening in your heart, as that beautiful light or energy shines out from you. Very good. And then allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And then allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Good job. Now allow that light or energy to fill your subject. And then imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you or doesn't have the qualities that you love and admire, and keep them filled with this light, this energy anyway. Very good job. And now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very good. And now to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. Good job. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. Very good. And now to Sue. Fill Sue with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sue just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Sue and fill her husband, from the tips of his toes to the top of his head and out to his fingertips. Love Sue's husband just for existing, no matter what. And now fill the ceiling with that same light, that energy, however that goes, the whole situation. Love it all anyway, shining that light into any darkness. Good job. And now to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. And now to all those who are off camera today and all those who are watching the recording, fill each one with the same light, this energy, this love, loving each one just for existing no matter what, shining this light into any darkness. And opening up to receive that light, that energy from everyone else. filling you from the tips of your toes to the top of your head and out to your fingertips, loving you just for existing, no expectations, no pressure, just as you are, allowing, loving, shining the light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now think of yourself later today, no matter what you'll be doing or experiencing or feeling, love that version of you exactly as you are, no matter what. Very good. And now pick a target either in your life or in the world today and fill that target with this same light, this energy, exactly as it is without needing it to change, shining the light into the darkness and loving it exactly as it is. Very, very good. And surge. Good job. And surge again. Very good. All right. You can open your eyes if you have them closed. And how was that for everyone? Hope that went well for everybody. And of course, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. And look after yourselves. Keep practicing. And lots of love to all of you. You're very welcome. Thank you for all the lovely messages. Lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye now.